Hey, folks, this is Eddie Trunk from That Metal Show and Sirius XM Radio and lifelong Kiss fan. You are listening to the Shout It Out Loudcast with Tom and Zeus.
The year is 1981. The band is Rainbow. The album is difficult to cure, and the microphone is way too small. Welcome to episode 52 of the Album Review Crew, where we pick apart Zeus's selection of Difficult to Cure by Rainbow. Zeus, what's up?
Yeah, I'm excited. I get into the reason why I picked this specific album. I was going to go Rainbow. I just wasn't sure was going to go JLT or Dio, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But last time we had our third person in, and that was Jericho.
Yep.
And we did the album Vision Quest soundtrack.
That's right.
And that was your pick, Tom. And obviously we did a poll. So how did that go?
Yep, we did a poll. So we picked the top 4 songs based on our rankings as a group. Only the Young by Journey, Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider, Hungry for Heaven by Dio, and Crazy for You by Madonna. Journey wins the poll at 35%, Dio at 30%, Red Rider at 21%, and Madonna at 14%. A lot of people were surprised to see this one. A lot of people kind of forgot about it. Aggie Dad and Tiger Grad says, seen a million movies from the 80s, but never this one. After listening to this, I watched it for the first time. Our buddy Costa Vucinas, Only the Young is a great song. Lunatic Fringe here is huge in Canada, but I have to go with Crazy for You, grade 11 Memories. Ooh,
horrible.
Stuart H., how have I never heard Lunatic Fringe before? What a tune. Nice. Yeah, a lot of people like that one. Eladio, our buddy. Oddly enough, Crazy for You is the best and the only song that I care for on the soundtrack. What? Dude, come on. Chris White posts a picture of the DVD and the vinyl, says, finally got around to listen to this one. Now I have to break out the vinyl and DVD to revisit them. Found it last year at my local record store. That's very cool. Love that. I have it on vinyl too. It's pretty friggin' old, but and another thing, too, speaking of feedback on Twitter, I tagged Matthew Modine in this, and he retweeted it, and he liked it. So he's probably like, oh, shit, I forgot I made that movie. Michael's Record Collection. Kick-ass soundtrack, my friends. Yes, it is. Our buddy Nige. I've never even heard of this movie, let alone seen it. No idea why not. Maybe it wasn't a hit in the UK. But anyway, very cool soundtrack apart from the utterly god-awful Don Henley tune. I like the Eagles and Henley, but wow, that was brutal. Excellent episode, gents. V-Twin 5150, great soundtrack. The Jocks liked it. The Burnouts liked it. The Cheerleaders liked it. The Rockers liked it. Preppy Kids liked it. Something for everyone. That's a great point, yeah.
Did you just see the peanut vendors standing up to him?
The peanut vendors are standing up to him.
The way you read that sounded like that speech they give in Slapshot.
And God damn it, I'm standing up to him. And that's what we got for Twitter.
All right. On the Book of Face, Jason Warden says, damn, I missed this movie. I definitely wasn't a cool 80s kid like T&Z and Jericho. We'll have to check out the movie and soundtrack after I check out the podcast. I think you should have checked out the movie first, then do the podcast.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And the soundtrack. That would have made things a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Ronnie Bacharski.
Oh, here we go.
Awesome episode. Glad I ventured over from Kiss shit for a change. The 80s were full of great movies, great soundtracks. This is an example of a great soundtrack. But a shit fuck of a movie. It's horrible. Oh, and whoever made this movie definitely liked the taste of penis. pegs in hole, male pick-a-side short shorts with ball camel toe. It's definitely all in there. The highlight of the soundtrack for me is definitely Only the Young. Great and underrated song. I sing for a Journey tribute band.
What?
And this is definitely one of my favorites to perform. It's a breath of fresh air from the cookie cutter hits I have to perform at every show. I agree with Tom. Dumb fuck move leaving that off Frontiers. The whole soundtrack definitely has some gem. Too bad the movie is hot garbage. How the fuck is Ronnie Borchowski singing Journey song? Hey, this next song sucks. It tastes of penis, but you guys like it, so I'm going to sing it to you. What?
Hey, listen, all you fuck sticks out there. Here comes Don't Stop Believing, and then I'll go eat a dick.
Oh, man. I just find that funny.
I want video of that, by the way. I want Ronnie Borchowski Journey tribute band video. Get on it.
Yeah. I want Ronnie Borchowski stage banter.
Give me a little Stone in Love, Ronnie. Hook me up.
Shane Loudon. Great episode, except for the rankings. Tom let me down.
What did I do?
I don't know. Let me finish. The correct answer is always Lunatic Fringe. He's right.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, this movie has such a huge impact on me in junior high, and the soundtrack that stayed with me in go-to references for great soundtracks of all time. It shocks me when I find that the number of people have never heard or watched this movie. One of my closest friends in junior high would call me Loudon Shane as a throwback to the movie. I recently introduced the movie to my wife. She absolutely loved it. Thanks for reviewing it. Now I'm heading to the bathroom to take a big shoot. I think this is you that replied. Shane Loudon Lunatic could have been number one. Your last name fits perfectly this time.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And, yeah, his wife loved the movie. Wow. I'm surprised. What part did she like? The attempted rape scene in the fucking bedroom?
Or did he like the room service Tai Chi sexual assault by the guy?
Over on Loudcasters, Tom Selling wants to congratulate you and says, nice pick, Tom.
Oh, thank you.
Stephanie Meganson says, shoot. Nobody wants to wrestle shoot.
Exactly.
Daniel Haller Houston says, good choice. The Style Council are such a step down from The Jam, one of my favorite bands of all time. Hungry for Heaven and Crazy for You were the soundtrack for my sixth grade dances. John Whiteman, lots of nostalgia in these songs. Everyone just felt different in the 80s, and hearing these songs reminded me of that. Also, the beginning of She's on the Zoom sounds like a lot like the song that Macaulay Culkin is listening to at the beginning of Black or White video. That is very specific.
That is the deepest of deep cuts right there. Holy shit, John.
I think this is Daniel Haller Houston again, says Hines Ward and Jerome Bettis penning one of Madonna's biggest hits was the fake info I needed. I love it.
Oh my God. Forgot about that.
Michael Murphy, just catching up on this episode, a criminally underrated 80s music. Also, speaking of criminally underrated, Linda Fiorentino. My goodness. Anyway, Lunatic Fringe is a standout on the soundtrack for me. I detest Journey. But I like two of their songs. I'm not going to say
Don't say it.
Stone in Love and Only the Young. Plus, it ain't the 6 minutes. It's what happens in those 6 minutes. If Elmo saying that doesn't make you want to run through a wall, then you probably don't have a soul.
Yeah. Love that character.
And our old buddy Jack Pinocchio puts a meme up of Jericho playing water polo, Pools of Jericho. He's the Ayatollah of the goal. Yeah. Chris was telling us the story that he played water polo in high school, which is, I don't know, out there. Over on YouTube, Thomas23. Dude, is that him with a huge mullet in his picture? Oh my God. Wow. Great show, great song, guys. Great soundtrack. Patrick 2420, the Style Council rule. Hats off to Chris Jericho for mentioning The Jam.
Yeah.
And then Cody Brunette ends with, this must be the OG. Now that's what I call classic rock. Great album. The only soundtrack that might be better than that is Grown Ups. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Tom, over to you.
All right, let's see what we got on Instagram. Couple comments here from Kiss Guy 1973. Love the movie, love the soundtrack. You guys nailed it as always. 80s pop culture for life says yes. Cannot wait for the ARC feedback. This is one of my favorite 80s soundtrack compilations. Roy Jerome 98 says, I did not have this review on my 2024 bingo card with a laughing emoji. Yeah, this one may have come out of left field for some people, but that's what we like to do. So, let's get through a few emails here. Our buddy Wes Beach, sends his warmest regards about how much he hates this album. Thanks, Wes.
Hey, by the way, can you please break up your comments? It's just one big blurb. It's fucking
it's a run-on sentence.
Dude, you wrote songs like Love's a Deadly Weapon. I'm sure it wasn't one fucking sentence and go, here you guys go. Read this 3-page line and no breakups in the words.
I like it.
Break up your fucking comments in paragraphs, Wes. Come on. Or are you too punk for us?
Yeah, come on. Proper grammar is not punk.
Yeah, exactly.
We love you, Wes. We love you, Wes. All right. This comes from our buddy Rudy Doth. Hey guys, excellent Vision Quest episode. Something I'd never give a crap about, but hearing you guys review it makes it enjoyable as always. If you'd like to know who Danny Korchmar is, check out the music documentary Immediate Family. I promise you will not be disappointed. Well, thank you, Rudy, for the email, but I don't want to know who Danny Korchmar is. So, but thank you anyways for that. Then that's emails.
And Tom, we're going to bring in at this point our future guest. And that is someone's been on the show many times and is about as cool and an expert on Rainbow as we're going to find. And that is the great Martin Popoff. But before we bring Martin on to do the episode, let's take a quick little break.
All right, so welcoming back to the show, and this time we are not talking about Kiss, if you can believe it. We're talking about Rainbow, and who better than the resident Rainbow expert than our fellow Pantheon podcasting brother, author extraordinaire, host of History in 5 Songs, Martin Popoff. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Yes, thanks very much, Tom. Looking forward to this. Very cool.
Awesome. We are too. Zeus.
So this is my pick. If you guys have listened to the show, you've heard me talk about Rainbow many, many times. I brought up Martin in his YouTube channel, The Contrarians and stuff. And anytime we've done already Down to Earth, which I know Martin has said he's like me. That's his favorite Rainbow album. And when I thought about doing Rainbow, I'm like, all right, to me, it's always 3 bands, the RJD, the Bonham one, and obviously JLT. So I'm like, I was going back and forth. Do I take Dio or do I take JLT? Well, we just interviewed Lynn Turner not too long ago. He was off the charts kind and fascinated. And so I was like, all right, we got to get this because we'll bring him back to talk about the album. And I decided to take Difficult to Cure. The album, I had it when I was in middle school, I guess I would be at this point, or grade school. Oh yeah, look at that.
Martin's got it holding it up autographed.
It's just by Joe, only Joe on this one.
That's good enough.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And so I remembered the videos. I remember Lynn Turner, and I've always stayed a Rainbow fan. And so when we get a chance to pick our albums, I wanted to do something different. And I picked this album because it sentimentally, it means something to me. And I've always been a big fan of a couple songs specifically on this album. Tom?
Guys, let me just show this to you. This is my cool one. This is my framed up every single lead singer. So we got Doogie, we got Joe, we got Graham, and we got Ronnie on that one. So there you go.
That's beautiful. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Well,
So Zeus, so for me, so my exposure to Rainbow and Joe Lynn Turner came via MTV. It came from Stone Cold. It came from straight through the eyes, straight between the eyes. I'm sorry. That's my origin story with Joe Lynn Turner and Rainbow. And then like we talk about sometimes with Kiss, then I started to move forward and listen to Bent Out of Shape. And then I just became a huge Joe Lynn Turner fan. I knew Difficult to Cure. I knew Can't Happen Here. I've never owned the album. Never owned the album. I now own a pristine, brand new copy of the vinyl because I'm a big vinyl geek, like most of our listeners are. And I just, as I've grown up and appreciated this era of Rainbow, I love Joe Lynn Turner's voice. Zeus, you said it before. He's got one of those phone book voices. I just want to hear him sing. I don't care what he's singing. And when you picked Difficult to Cure, I was excited. It's not an album I was super familiar with, but I knew most of it. Not that many songs, unfortunately. But Martin, you're our guest. You're our resident Rainbow expert. Tell us about your origin story, I guess, with Difficult to Cure.
Well, my origin story would be I was already a Rainbow fan as a new release right off the first album. So went through the late 70s, looking for every heavy album you could possibly find. And mathematically, every album was basically rated on how heavy it was. Then we go through, the starting year, I suppose, of the new wave of British heavy metal. And we go through Down to Earth. Yep. And then we arrive at this album, 1981. So, this is the year of Iron Maiden Killers and Judas Priest Point of Entry and Black Sabbath Mob Rules. So the new wave of British heavy metal is a little moved on. But unfortunately, Graham Bonnet is also moved on. And we've got this American in here. And I remember liking it and not particularly loving it. I remember, this is actually a new thought that just popped into my head, but I do remember, I've always felt that this is, an aristocratic band of people with a history sort of thing. Didn't know Joe, didn't know Fandango or any of that sort of stuff, but it still was like a senior regal sort of band, an English sort of band, even though at this point we've got actually two Americans in the band. But it still has a lot of that, those Teutonic melodies on it. But an interesting narrative about this album is that those Teutonic melodies are actually mixed with a lot of melody. So it's like really accessible, almost like milquetoast, classical music or classical heavy metal on this record. So that's pretty interesting. I'll tell you a little trivia point about this because I'm working on, no, it hasn't come out yet. That's right. So I've got this Rainbow book, Sensitive.
Oh yeah, Sensitive to Light.
It's right up there.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a good one because I stand by it because it's the second time around for it. So it's been through the mill twice, but I'm working on right now, more than halfway through, what are we calling it? Run with the Wolf Rainbow on Record.
Ooh,
which is one of the panel books where I've assembled a panel of people and we've gone through it. And anyways, long story short, talking with Stephen Reed about this album, he's in Scotland. I found out that the UK official vinyl version of it, the picture of the doctors is actually cut off quite a bit on one of these doctors. And also one of the other neat things about this record is you've got the small little surgical things there that I always forget that they're there, but it's a nice sort of hypnosis touch that you don't normally notice on these. So that's kind of funny about this.
Yeah. Well, no, that's actually a good segue into the album art because that's kind of where we go next. And you would just kind of talk about it. I don't like this cover because it looks way too menacing for me, especially the fact that one of the doctors is preparing to put on a rubber glove, which is never a good thing when you're at the doctor's office. Exactly, and not only is there one doctor, there are 7 of them on the cover. And I feel like, I'm a horror movie fan and a Twilight Zone fan, and I feel like something bad is about to happen here, and I don't like it. But that being said, so Martin, I thought this was interesting. The album cover was designed by Hypnosis.
Yeah, the Zeppelin, all their
Rush. Super famous for a lot of his album covers, and it's almost embarrassing to talk about facts with Martin when he's written a book about Rainbow, but the story is that this album cover was going to be used for Black Sabbath's Never Say Die LP.
Yep. Yeah. Hypnosis tended to do that a fair bit. Like if a design got rejected by someone, it would just sit there in the leftovers pile and things. You notice that in the Hypnosis movie, and Paul McCartney even gets a little incensed. He gets surprised about that, because he had one fobbed off on him at one point, right? So this is one that had been through the ringer twice. And, it would have been a pretty cool cover for Never Say Die as well. It's pretty interesting thinking of that way, but Never Say Dies wouldn't have fit this that well. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. It's somehow weirdly a little almost too artsy for this record, because it's a really accessible pedestrian sort of commercial rock record. I think it's almost like a little too artsy for it, but I'm kind of glad it happens. And then in conjunction with the back cover is really cool too, where you get another scene of it, basically from the patient's eye view.
Yeah, and I don't like that nurse's face either. That's another menacing look right there. I don't like it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you see the inside? I don't know. I have the CD.
I have that on the vinyl,
which is like all the instruments laid out. Yeah. From what I understand, it's supposed to be you're the patient, and you're and all these doctors are looking around you because you're difficult to cure. They can't cure you. You're the patient, and there's something wrong with you. Now, it might make sense with all the kind of like spooky hypnosis kind of stuff when they did Bent Out of Shape, and that form is kind of bent. And then they did Street of Dreams, which had its own little small controversy with the hypnotizing doctor in the video that they banned it and stuff. Maybe that would have worked for this. I don't know. Yeah. But,
the other thing that's kind of cool. This reminds me of UFO Force-It a little bit.
Yes, it does. Yep.
And also, just kind of the layout looks a little bit like Black Sabbath Never Say Die's inner sleeve and Technical Ecstasy's inner sleeve, where you've got kind of the schematic look and stuff, right? So this is very hypnosis-y, what they do there. They love their instruments and stuff like that, right?
But it's a long way from the Ken Kelly Rainbow Rising and the Kiss-like art and stuff.
Yeah.
To go from them.
Ronnie
that's beautiful.
Signed and Ken Kelly signed.
Oh wow, that's amazing! I love that cover. Yeah, like Zeus's T-shirt.
Yeah, that's Rainbow Rising.
Yeah.
So let's get a couple facts on the album itself. It was released in February 9th, 1981. Roger Glover comes back as the producer for this again. It made it to number 50 on U.S. Billboard, up to number 3 in the UK. The album went gold, Japan, Finland, UK. I don't have statistics on it in the US. It's the 5th studio album by Rainbow, first with Lynn Turner and Bobby Rondinelli on drums. So now you got Cozy Powell leaving. Graham Bonnet only made a 1 album appearance. And it's interesting because this went to number 3 in the UK. That's the highest charting album. You wouldn't think so, but it is. I have the other ones. Down to Earth went to 6. Long Live Rock and Roll 7. 11 for Rising, and 11 for the debut.
Yeah, it's almost like the way Thin Lizzy can have a life as a rock star and a career by just doing quite well in the UK, right? So it's a big enough country that you could actually be a rock star still. Right?
Martin, you brought up an interesting point that you see about Lynn Turner joining the band and saying, now they have an American, and you wonder, I mean, obviously no one's going to deny the talent of Lynn Turner, but as we get into the tracks, you can definitely see where Ritchie Blackmore wanted Rainbow to go in this time. Do you think that getting somebody like Lynn Turner, an American like that, was a conscious decision, or do you think it was just coincidental that Lynn Turner was American?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as the story goes, they're kind of looking at the success of Foreigner.
Exactly.
Ritchie's always had this weird relationship with the blues. It's kind of a love-hate sort of feel, but Paul Rodgers and that as well.
Yep.
I guess Bad Company is gone away momentarily at this point, but Foreigner's big. He always jokes around that he likes ABBA and he likes pop and all that kind of thing. So he's growing as a guitarist, and I think he even grows through these 3 JLT albums quite a bit and changes. And we think of him as having a big ego, but when it actually comes to playing guitar on the albums, he does sit back quite often and lets other people shine.
Totally.
The Rising, he lets Tony Carey shine. He lets Cozy Powell shine. So yeah, you get big stuff out of drummers as well. There's a lot of keyboards on here, but as he moves through this period, he becomes more of a song guy. He lets Lynn Turner shine. And then by the time you get to Bent Out of Shape, he's being very sparse and picking his spots where he's playing guitar. Granted, he will say sort of, okay, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket and I'm going to own this instrumental that I'm going to do. And there's actually 2 on here. Yeah. Right. So he does have that vehicle, but he's just not constantly burbling and babbling all over the place as a guitarist. So yeah, it's funny. It's like the other thing we've gone through at this point, which is maybe here nor there, but I'm always fascinated by the death of hard rock in 1978 and 1979. It gets replaced by your Foreigners and your Bostons and your Loverboys, and soon we're going to have Night Ranger. You've got pomp rock. You've got punk, living and dying very quickly, but then new wave kind of takes over and some new wave bands are doing well. But yeah, so 78, 79 is a big dip. Yep. But then, him being English, although he's now, he's not living in England at this point. But him being English, and the other guys as well with Don and Roger there, they would definitely be very cognizant of the new wave of British heavy metal and heavy metal coming around again. But, they are one of these bands that, you could do a case study of the bands that kind of ignore that and don't get super heavy, when all this stuff is happening. So they don't dive back into this thing they created. They still stay on this other path. But at this point, they just want to eat, right? They just want to finally break America in some way. This is almost like a desperate move to try do that.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, just to kind of piggyback on that, Martin, anytime we talk about an album or a band, because we're primarily a Kiss podcast, this is not obviously a Kiss episode, but if Kiss did this, they would be ridiculed for following what's popular and they want to be Foreigner, they want to be Journey, they want to be arena rock, they want to be radio friendly, pop rock accessible. I'm not a diehard Rainbow fan. I'm a casual Rainbow fan. When they got Lynn Turner and they started making these albums like Difficult to Cure, I mean, even for me as a casual Rainbow fan, it's jarring how different it is from what you're known for. Yeah. Was there any kickback from some of the diehards and be like, what is Rainbow doing here? This isn't Rainbow.
Yeah, there was kickback. I think they just kind of got pushed aside and ignored more than anything. It wasn't like active hate, because at this point, what you had happening was super exciting in the Blue Oyster Cult world, the Black Sabbath world, the Iron Maiden world, Saxon, Motorhead, Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, he's the biggest star of everybody here. Actually, no, there's one bigger, AC/DC, right? So AC/DC's blowing up huge. Randy Rhoads, you get these 2 Ozzy albums super quick, right? Yep. Scorpions has got Blackout out, their masterpiece, right? So there's all these bands doing this. So Rainbow is kind of sounding pretty tired at this point, 1981. This is a hot metal year, right? Yeah. 81, 82, 83, 80, they're all big years, right? And same thing with Judas Priest. Judas Priest stumbled as well with Point of Entry.
Yeah.
After British Steel, and they got a lot of heck for that as well. So, the short answer is I don't remember how upset everybody was, because the point is, I think, I'm one who thinks Down to Earth is way heavier than people give it credit for. Everybody thinks Since You've Been Gone, and the chorus to All Night Long, and maybe Make It Love, but the rest of it is pretty heavy. I mean, even compared to Long Live Rock and Roll, it's actually as heavy, if not heavier, than Long Live Rock and Roll. But basically, because of Since You've Been Gone and All Night Long, and just having these songs that are boy-girl songs and stuff like that, I think, everybody was already gradually being eased into this. And then Lynn Turner wasn't that much of a change for them. But on the surface, this is still a pretty rocking album. But we can get into that. I don't think the production's very good on it, and it makes it definitely less rocking than it could be, just from a production standpoint.
Yeah, for me, I was just going to add that I always find it to be like Bonnet is the middle ground between the JLT years and Dio. but just from social media, yeah, Tom, there's ton of that stuff. Yeah. Rainbow isn't rainbow after Dio left to some people. And then other people just like the more fanatic you are, the more you like the Dio years, I feel. Yeah. The other ones, like, well, I like these songs. They kick ass. Lynn Turner's a great singer. I like Since You've Been Gone. But that's what the radio plays. That's what people want to hear. They actually enjoy that. But the deep, deep fans, the fanatics, all to me seem like they're more Dio. And you can look at it.
It's kind of funny because if you think about it, Black Sabbath's got a New Yorker drummer and a New Yorker singer, and these guys now have a New Jersey singer and a New Yorker drummer, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
Half the band is American at this point. And then Ritchie's famously a guy who's lived on, Long Island and LA and stuff like that.
I thought he lives in the woods now, like with the woodland people playing.
I know.
I don't know what
he kind of does. I mean, Long Island, he's got a castle there, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I think he's in a time warp in the 15th or 14th century he's living.
Exactly.
I don't know what he's got going on, but regardless, let's get into the tracks. And the first track, Tom, here you go.
So the album kicks off with I Surrender, and right off the bat, we've talked about a little bit before. This is not your father's Rainbow. I mean, if you don't know anything about Rainbow, you're like, oh, Foreigner has a new album. This is pretty good. And I mean, that being said, I mean, I love Lynn Turner's voices, but this is, if it's possible for something to be so extremely different from what you've heard before from the band, this is so poppy and so accessible. And I will say this right now, the chorus is so hooky and poppy. I almost feel like it's too poppy, if that's such a thing. I feel like it's very, very sing-songy, if that makes any sense. You can really, really feel the influence that we talked about. Martin had mentioned with, the Foreigners, the Loverboy, like that arena rock, album-oriented radio rock stuff is so prevalent here. But that being said, it's Lynn Turner, and I think it's a good song. I think it's an interesting choice to kick off an album with a brand new singer, but apparently that's what Ritchie wanted to do, Martin.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically mirroring and trying to get the success again that they did on Down to Earth by putting Since You've Been Gone on there. They're both Russ Ballard songs. This is the poppier one of the two. It's, that album was grittier and tougher. It had a kind of a tough, noisy, distorted mid-range to it. You had Cozy Powell's, strong arm drumming on it. And this, I totally agree with you, Tom. Like chorus wise, you get the stabbing little piano pulse through it, and you think pump rock, you think Trillion, Touch, New England, those kinds of bands, Styx, right?
Styx, yes,
and definitely Foreigner. And you get so essentially, it has a pretty sophisticated pre-chorus where you feel a little bit of that classical vibe, but almost all of Since You've Been Gone is actually kind of sophisticated. It's just a better song. It's just a smarter pop song. And this is like a dumber pop song. And then the production's not as good. The performances are not as good. Joe's in there. They didn't write it. So you got that bad vibe going on as well. Yeah. And very, very sing-songy chorus as well.
Yeah.
I never heard the phrase sing-songy.
I couldn't think of any other way to describe it because like I'm at the gym. I got my earbuds in. I'm listening to it. It's like it's it's like a kid's. It's like a kid's song.
All right, I Surrender is written by Russ Ballard. How many songs do we all know from this show? That are Russ Ballard songs.
Right.
It made it to number 105 on U.S. Billboard's Mainstream Rock 19. And it is the highest charting song at this point in the UK for them. It went to number 3. Wow. So if you're Ritchie Blackmore, he's saying, yeah, I'm going to continue doing this. I'm getting songs. I didn't get anything out of Stargazer. You might want to hear it, but it's not hitting the radio. We're not getting anything from it. Graham is still in the backing tracks in this. This is one of when they started laying down the tracks he was working on. He told us that himself. And even, Joe told us that last time, that when he came into it, he could hear Graham in the background, and he's like told to sing over this. Yep. I start with is like, what a voice. His voice is just so melodic. It is so like, syrupy sweet. that it works for me. Certain people have a certain voice that I could hear them sing anything. And his melodic voice and the melodic guitar, to me, this is something when no one's in the car, Martin, I crank up and I sing it as best I can, hoping no one's seeing this or listening. But I think it's where he goes with it on the vocals to me is just something that a real professional singer can sing this, and a non-professional singer will friggin' destroy this song, and it'll be terrible.
I'll tell you something. When I was playing it again, I noticed, I thought, well, that sounds a little bit like Ricky Medlock on those classic Blackfoot albums. So when he holds the notes really high and when he's singing really powerful, there's a little bit of Ricky Medlock in him.
Yeah, I run out of breath trying to sing along with this song. I can't do it. I mean, but I can only imagine how others that aren't as good can do this. I guess they re-recorded this in 2017 with Ronnie Romero. I don't know, when he changed it back to Blackmore's Rainbow, they did it as a digital single. I haven't heard it, and originally there was another band called Praying Mantis that was going to release this song at the same time. And they're like, well, no, Rainbow's a bigger album, bigger band. You won't do it. Let Rainbow release this album. And so, this song. And they did. I like Bobby Rondinelli on the drums on this. I think he does a great job.
Yeah, he's good.
And plus, he's a local New Yorker along with all those other guys. And this is like that New York, New Jersey kind of musician group. And I find the song to always be something, when I start getting back into them, greatest hits and the final vinyl and stuff, I always tended to go to the song. I think it's a fun, listenable song. It's certainly not Stargazer or anything like that. It's just.
What did you think of the video?
We're at that point now. All right. So I like the sirens. I wish flashing. I think that's a cool thing.
I wish people could see Martin's laughing smile right now when he said, "What do you think of the video?"
But JLT, with that striped red shirt and red pants. I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, that was the fashion back then. And he's just so different than anybody else. He's got that like smoldering, like he does the looks, like the moving the shoulders and hamming it up to the camera. It's just, but I do like the light.
He grabs his shirt like this, right? He grabs the neck of his shirt. The way he holds the mic is kind of a little delicate. That moves and
first of all, the mic itself is very like game show host microphone. It's not a rock star microphone. Like look at the microphone that Roger Daltrey is holding when he's singing. And then Lynn Turner, like you said, he's holding it with like his fingertips, and it's very. But I'll tell you right now, the funniest part of that entire video, and I know it's the most unintentional comedy, is just the miserable look on Ritchie Blackmore's face.
Yeah.
He looks like
he's whistling while he's playing, like.
But it also looks like he's like, I can't believe I'm doing that. Like it looks like he doesn't want to be there. He looks like annoyed.
Yeah. Well, and as we know later, I mean, 40% of his annoyance. I mean, that's his normal thing anyways, right? That's his persona. But 40% of it now is he's looking over at Joe and saying, I don't like the way this guy moves, right? This is not heavy metal, right? This is not a tough guy. The other funny thing in this video is that we've got the vestiges of the bass player wardrobe, right? So, so Roger's got the white tam on, right? And then you go to the Can't Happen Here video where it's the same set. He switches it out for a black tam, right? And then he's got his glasses on in that one, and he's got the upscale look too. So you look at the back cover of all your late 70s albums, and the bass player's got to have that look, right?
Yeah,
and Don Airey is not doing himself any favors with that red jacket.
With this 1980s Olympic jacket wearing what he was wearing there.
It's a rough look.
He's been on, I don't know, he may have made the most appearances on the album review crew. Don Airey.
He's been on, how many albums have we done with him?
He's everywhere. Don Airey. God bless the guy. Yep. He's still kicking it and touring with Deep Purple. God bless him, man.
Yeah.
So, but the video is just out there, but what are you going to do? There's another one that's coming up, so we'll get to that one. Yeah. But Tom, let's go to the next song.
Track 2, Spotlight Kid. So when I first heard this, I thought maybe this would have been the way to kick off the album. But again, we don't know Ritchie's intentions here. This to me just has shades of the classic Deep Purple sound. It's obviously very up tempo, but it's got that layered, that that iconic Deep Purple keyboard sound in the background. Super up tempo, almost like double bass, which you didn't really hear in this kind of music at that time in 1981, or from a band like this playing this kind of music. But I thought it was really interesting how you got a killer guitar solo into what sounds like some really warped sounding keyboard solos, and then back into a guitar solo. It's a really like frenetic, up tempo, really like fast paced song. And I think, for me as a Lynn Turner fan, I think it showcases the different, I mean, there's so many different tempos on this album, but I think going from I Surrender to this, I'm like, this guy can sing whatever you throw in his way.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I got a few problems with it. So, I mean, a guy with Joe's voice on top of this doesn't really go with it, right? He doesn't add to the heaviness, right?
I agree.
The production doesn't add to the heaviness. I think Roger gets a really anemic sort of milquetoast production on this album. I think the production's better on the next two. Although it's still very conservative on the next two. It's not a heavy production, but I think what he gets on Bent Out of Shape is just perfect. That album to me is the best of these three. But so I think the production's not great. And the other problem this has for me is that, it's also very melodic for a speedy song. So that's another thing. It's definitely has the keyboards in it as well. Yep. And to me, it's got a little bit of that problem Van Halen has when they try to do fast songs like Get Up, Hot for Teacher, David Lee Roth on Elephant Gun and Shy Boy. When they try to do these OTT songs and show how heavy they are, they just get frantic and it sounds panicked, frantic, not heavy. There's no groove. There's no bottom end. And if you don't get the right production that adds a lot of heft at the bottom, it doesn't sound particularly heavy. So Spotlight Kid never sounded particularly heavy to me. That title is just such a throwback to Jukebox Hero too. It's got that. So it's really got that story. Marshall Plan, Blue Oyster Cult, the guy making it in rock and roll. Although ostensibly this has a little bit of story. Oh, Richie's in love with the spotlight, that kind of thing. Right. Yeah. A little bit of like the Smooth Dancer story, from, is that Fireball or Who Do We Think We Are? Anyways, one of those, but that's Ian writing about Ritchie maybe. And this is maybe, a combination of, that's the other story in this. I just interviewed Roger and Ian Gillan actually for the new Deep Purple album, but I asked him a little bit about Rainbow and he kind of, he kind of alluded to the fact that he was kind of writing the lyrics early on. Definitely all for Graham Bonnet, more or less, and then somewhat with Joe, and then Joe kind of takes over a little more. But yeah, so I think the lyrics are a little bit of a collaboration at this point. But yeah, for a heavy song, it really doesn't sound that heavy, because I think they botched the delivery of it.
I think it's a good point, but I think Martin brings up a good point. It's one of those rare fast songs that's not heavy. Mm-hmm. Usually when a band does even when Kiss does a fast song, which I don't particularly like when they do fast Kiss, but it still has some heft to it. This is like a light fast song, which I find kind of unique. But anyways, Zeus.
So Spotlight Kid, written by Ritchie Blackmore and Roger Glover. My first thought was, okay, who are they writing about? Usually these songs are meant up to be about somebody.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that loves the spotlight? It doesn't look like it's Ritchie, because Ritchie seems like he could care less. He's the least showmanship guitarist I have ever seen. Any video, any live footage I see him, he is just wailing on the guitar, and he looks like he's remembering that I leave the stove on at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Or any video, he looks like he's mumbling something himself that has nothing to do with the words of the song. And it's a rocking song, and it's just, his hand is just moving, and he's just, okay, no problem. But anyways, I was curious to see who the Spotlight Kid is. I think the guitar and the drums on this are fantastic. For me, the reason why I feel like what you guys are saying, it's because it's JLT's voice. Switch this. Give this Graham Bonnet's voice in this. I think you would probably like this song better. I think it'd be more rocking and more passion behind it. JLT makes this more melodic instead of a fast song, just because his vocals, the way he sings and that smooth delivery that he has. But that solo is just incredible. These are the like Deep Purple, Whitesnake, John Lord type of guitar intertwined with Ritchie and get and back to the keys and then back to the guitar. I love that stuff, especially John Lord when he does it. And I love that they have some chemistry now with Don Airey to do this stuff. I think that guitar solo is incredible. I think it lifts this song to make it much better than it really should be, because the rest of
another thing that happens with Ritchie. Like he gets accused sometimes, rightfully so, for being a guy who's a little bit of a Vince Neil live on when he plays the guitar, right? Like he doesn't stick to the riff very much, right? Like he likes to dance around, a little bit of Pete Townsend too, right? Yeah. You know, I've written this song, but I'm just going to go ding, bing, bing, ring, you know, all over it, right? Kind of thing, rather than play the riff. So when you play a fast song like this, it allows you even more of that freedom to just be kind of like supporting the freight train, almost like, so I guess what I'm saying is he it's written a certain way. It's got a certain riff, but when you actually go to perform it, he's a creative guy and he's playing more licks than he's playing the actual riff. And, you know, different from thrash, say, and this happened in speed metal too, right? Speed metal could be more hanging open chords. The hi-hat's a little open, but when you get to Kill 'Em All, everybody locks down and it's palm muted and everything's like a machine, right?
Yeah.
So Ritchie doesn't play like a machine. So when he plays these fast songs, it's a lot of grace notes. It's a lot of grace notes and licks, and that takes away from the heaviness too.
Interesting. Nice.
All right, Tom, let's get No Release.
Next track here, No Release. I'll tell you right now what a revelation this song was to me. First of all, I love the little intro, but I don't know, something when a guitar. First of all, the drums are incredible in the way that the way the percussion and the cymbals are. I absolutely love this drum groove here. But that combined with what the guitar is doing, because for me, when I think of Rainbow, when I think of Ritchie Blackmore, I think of riffs, I think of chords. But this right here, it's like like he's doing like the quick hits, which is something that I'm not used to hearing from Rainbow. And I think that combined with the rhythm that the drums and the bass are doing, and then when Lynn Turner comes in, I think this is like a perfect tempo song. I think he sounds great in the verses. He's kind of got a little bit of gruff, and then he's just showing off the JLT wail when you get to the chorus there. And then near the end of the song, when it speeds up, shifts gears, speeds up, and then you just got a crazy guitar outro. It's fantastic. But the one thing, it doesn't ruin the song, because I love the song. What is that little Motown breakdown in the middle? Like all of a sudden they like Bruno Mars. It's like dun 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 dun. Can't get no relief. Can't get no. And I'm like, what just happened right now? How did that get in here? Needless to say, it's a great song, but that was just jarring for me.
Yeah,
Martin.
Yeah, all the fans complain about that little part. You know, it's obviously they're literally structuring in a crowd participation part, and they're picturing it in their head. Like, we're gonna do this, right? And Rainbow like their hand claps too. They do that. So, and you're right. It's kind of a song that's got 20% of evocation of the blues to it, even though it's a heavy song and it's up tempo. But because of that, it allows Joe to come in and really have that blues Paul Rogers phraseology kind of thing that he does. Yes. So I think it's a good one for that. So it suits him, and it's fairly heavy. And again, it's got a little bit of that, Ritchie's got this evolving neat flavor of how he can still be Teutonic and European and classical sounding, but then cross over. So he can cross over to pop with it. He can cross over to the blues with it. It's a little bit of the way I often describe Michael Schenker, right? Michael Schenker is guitarist. He mixes the Teutonic with the hair metal. That's kind of what he does, which is really kind of an appealing thing. He can be very commercial and melodic, and with him, it's moving in a hair metal direction. With Ritchie, it's moving into a pop direction or a blues direction. So he can slide in and out of those two worlds. I think this is good for that.
Yeah, but they both care about the song, so it doesn't veer off into a Vinnie Vincent Yngwie kind of way crazy over the top stuff. I think they both concern themselves with the song so that it sticks with it and they don't overdo it. That's just me. But anyways, No Release was written by Ritchie Blackmore, Roger Glover, and Don Airey gets a writing credit. I love the opening riff, and then Bobby's drums come in. It's rocking. I feel like this is a song that could have fit in the Dio era. If Dio sang it, obviously there would be 1,000 times different lyrics, and Dio wouldn't do that techno dance disco breakdown in the middle. But I think this could fit that. The backing vocals on this are absolutely great, as is JLT's voice. But you know, when it kicks in, you know, you got the guitar and
yeah.
To me, I don't know. Maybe Tom will pick this up. I don't know if you're a big Pearl Jam fan. It reminds me how Porch starts off.
Yep. I know what you mean.
And then all of a sudden, and then they start getting into the real groove of the melody
of the song.
And it just, it just works for me. I really can feel it. And the other thing is, because we are talking with a Zeppelin expert here.
Yep.
Is it me, or is that the solo? It seems like almost a little sloppy, a little like not as clean as Ritchie does it. It almost sounds like the solo from Nobody's Fault But Mine.
Jimmy
or
Page,
it just comes in and it's just kind of, and you're like, that's what I feel like this solo does here, because it doesn't sound like a really smooth classical guitar rock that Ritchie does. It just seems like that loud. If you remember Nobody's Fault But Mine, that solo that just takes over in Bono's drums, and it's just this loud, and it just comes in. That's what I picked up on. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, since Presence was many years before this, but anyways, I think this is a track that people that don't know this album will be like, holy shit, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
This track is probably the best of the deep cuts on here. For me. And and the guitar outro, the crazy guitar outro, is fantastic as well. But if you thought this album was poppy before, let's go to the next track.
Yeah, so the next track is Magic, and I'm sorry, right off the bat, when any rock band has a song titled Magic, you're in for some trouble.
You think of the Cars?
Yeah, but that's what the Cars do. So this is not a bad song. It's just, it seems so shallow in like, yes, we know you like Foreigner. We know you like Journey. Like, I even hear like some Kansas in this, some like just all of that, like late 70s, 80, 81, that like Martin said, that shift away from the hard rock bands into that melodic arena sound. This is just it. That's all this is. That being said, it's well done, because Lynn Turner is the perfect voice for it. It's the ultimate power pop song. But even the backing vocals, the bridge into the chorus is like, I mean, you wonder how, I mean, we'll get to the hit off this album. This is tailor-made for radio play, especially in 1981. I'm shocked it never made it. I think it's a good song, but I think it's just Ritchie just being like, I want to make something that's super accessible like these other bands are doing.
Yeah, it was issued as a single, but I guess just in Japan, right?
Yep.
So third single from the
That's right. Yeah, not in the US.
Yeah, and again, very twee. It's a cover, Brian Moran. It's Joe's perfect for it, but it almost like you're almost promoting Joe as an airhead, right? If you know a little bit of the story, like he's in there, you know, Roger's a big lyric guy himself, but it's like all of a sudden we're like 4 songs in and they didn't write 2 of the songs. So it's like, you know, it's that whole Song Factory thing. You know, we got a new singer. Let's put him with this single here. He's a poppy guy. Let's see what happens, sort of thing. I mean, it sounds like even before their chickens hatched from I Surrender, they're thinking, oh, we'll do it again because look how successful I Surrender was 10 minutes ago, right? Kind of thing, right? So yeah, it's got the pumping sort of new wave keyboards. Don Airey's got a lot of not very impressive, he has an array of sounds on this album, but he's got some that are very, very poppy and new wavy. So yeah, I've never been a big fan of the song. And I find the melody, the chord structure of it a little bit deflating or depressing as well.
Who's Brian Moran?
Yeah, I can't remember now.
Nobody can remember who he is.
Former
it's not
a minor league player for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, it's not a cover per se. It's a song doctor thing, right?
A song doctor.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. But anyways, he wrote Magic. I just put this is the most popular song on this album maybe they've ever done.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more fitting to be on Bent Out of Shape for what I think. But I still go, what a voice! It's just so melodic and smooth. It's something like he could do on like American Idol. Like it would fit that crowd. Like, oh, wow, that's an impressive voice. Oh, great! Like you're not like moved by it. It's not like an emotional thing. It's just a song that a good singer can sing well, and you're like, oh, okay,
it's a disposable pop song.
Exactly, and it's just another great melodic solo, short, sweet, goes right back into the song, a la the opposite of the Vinnies and the Yngwies and all that stuff. Again, it goes for me like he doesn't have Ritchie could probably blow us away on every song if he want to, but he doesn't care. He to me, he doesn't have an ego. He just. This is what this song requires. It's not going to be one that's just crazy solo.
Yep.
Just laid back and put something unassuming on this, and let's go to the next track. And I think it works, and that's why I have as big of a curmudgeon and the fun stories you hear about Ritchie Blackmore. I love it, but I just love that part of his attitude that he doesn't give a shit where you have him ranked on the Guitar Heroes or. To go out there and be like, oh, you guys, let me be on stage with Clapton and all these other guys, and I'll blow you guys away. He doesn't care. Yeah. He knows how good he is, and it's good enough for him. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just really respect him for that.
Yeah. The other neat thing about this song is that the lyric does sound like a Joe Lynn Turner lyric completely, because it's a little bit mystical, a little bit dramatic, subconscious, unconscious love sort of song, dreamy, dream state. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of songs about dreams and night and stuff happening.
Yeah, hypnosis and shit.
Yeah. And so it really does kind of fit that part of him anyways. Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to try to pronounce the next track, Tom, but all you, buddy.
So I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce this, but apparently the translation is maybe next time. I'm not going to try to say this, but Martin kind of brought something up that I didn't think of before. So my first issue here is that you have a new lead singer, and the album with him only has 9 tracks, and 2 of them are instrumentals. And then it didn't dawn on me until Martin brought it up. So we're on track 5. So the first 5 tracks, one of them is an instrumental. 2 of them are not original written songs. It's weird what's going on with this album. I know that's like we're getting into the weeds of like music nerdery here with all that kind of stuff, but I like instrumentals. I know Zeus hates them. Martin, I can't wait to hear where you stand on them. I like them. But this to me is just Ritchie just being a little self-indulgent, and God bless him. It's his band. It's his album, but whatever. I don't think I've ever listened to the entire 3 minutes and 17 seconds of it. I'll be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I hate them. I hate instrumentals too.
There you go,
Waste of space. But yeah, so this is, and the other point here is that on all of side 1, there's no Joe Lynn Turner credit anywhere either. So, and so this is credited to Ritchie and Don, which makes sense because it's a ballad. You would think keyboard has a hand in something like this. It's slow. It's dull. The soloing has to be slow and dull too, which I think it kind of is. It's got sort of thudding, clumsy drums in it, so it's almost like a proto power ballad in a way. But yeah, the tempo is really slow, and I don't care for it either. I think it's wasted space too.
Yep.
So I'm going to try it. Verlicht das nächste Zeit. I want all our German friends, because I assume that's German, to destroy me for what I said. Maybe next time. And I was saying to Martin, I believe they misspelled it on the cover, and then they try to fix it on the next pressing, and they mess that up too.
Yeah. Yes.
The expression is incorrect. I don't know.
I would imagine the way Wiki works, Wiki is the correct one, right?
Which is Verlicht
das nächste Mal. And on my record, it is Verlicht das nächste Zeit, as you said.
Yeah. And another Ritchie Blackmore, Don Airey. instrumental, small, like, you know, there's emotional there. I'm sure like the way he's holding his notes and what he's playing is meaningful to guitarists or something. I can't do it. I can't listen. I mean, it's okay. I just don't find them interesting. They have to have a something unique that drives or moves. I'm thinking the only instrumentals that I know that I like would be Wailing Wasp off a Jar of Flies.
Love
Those
it.
weird sounds that's going on there. I like Daisy from the STP's third album.
Yep. See, for me, two of my all-time
I can't think of anything else.
Two of my all-time favorite
Switch
bands.
625, Def Leppard. I love
Def
that.
Leppard off of High
and Dry. I like that. That's not bad.
Yeah, and two of my all-time favorite bands are Rush and Metallica, and to me, they're the master of the instrumentals. Rush with YYZ and La Via Strangiato, and then Metallica's instrumentals that they got into. I think they're great. Now, do I seek them out? No, and Metallica has long instrumentals, and so does. I mean, La Via Strangiato is like 8 minutes long for Rush. I like them. If they go somewhere, I like them.
You know, I've never thought of this. You guys get me thinking. That's pretty cool, but I've never thought of this. But my favorite instrumentals, actually, come to think of it, have got to be Don't Start Too Late before Symptom of the Universe, Orchid on Master of Reality, and Embryo on Master of Reality. I like when Sabbath does those really spooky, quiet things before the clouds burst, and they're long enough. So I'm not making a joke that they have to be super short, although Don't Start Too Late is really short. But it's a little bit like Spanish Fly on Van Halen too. But Don't Start Too Late is the weirdest, creepiest little speedy acoustic guitar thing, right? And then you crunch into that Symptom of the Universe riff. But you know, I Master of Reality is so close to the very top for me of Black Sabbath albums, and one of my favorite albums of all time. Yep. And just Orchid and Embryo on that are just so haunting. Those are cool. So I like those better than the ones where they're trying to please the non-instrumental lover, like Pat Travers' Hammerhead or YYZ or La Villa, where they're throwing everything at you kind of thing.
Yep.
No, I think I like the Black Sabbath way of doing it.
Okay. Fair enough.
To me, if it's that good, put some fucking words on it and then let's hear it. Like you're wasting time. So I also think, to get back to the first 5 tracks, Bonnet was supposed to come back. He's leaving. You know, Ritchie's had, I don't know how many people in the band by now. Already there's been a huge exodus. I think they just wanted to throw some stuff together. They didn't give it enough time to let's sit down with this new singer and come up with some songs. Glover was there and Ritchie was there. Let's go. These are 2 covers. I'll throw a couple instrumentals, throw a couple of the songs together we had floating around, and we can get something out.
It's funny we're having this conversation because now I remember I actually argued with Ritchie Blackmore about instrumentals versus non-instrumentals. And then he goes to me, imagine that. Music without vocals, you know, and he kind of made the point, right? It's like, we are talking about music here, aren't we? Right. So he kind of made the point, you know,
such an asshole.
He kind of burned me, right? No, but he was right.
No,
you know,
but I just love that attitude that he had.
Yeah. Like he was kind of reminding me, you have heard of classical music, haven't you?
And that's why he can talk like that, because it's right. That's his style. That's why you have things with symphony names in his catalog, because he's a classical music trained guitarist, kind of.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to the next track, just real quick, Martin, I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I've listened to every episode, and you have a million of them. So forgive me if I've missed this, but maybe an instrumental episode.
Top 5.
You know what? The funny thing is, I can't even remember if I've done that or not. Because every idea is like, it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Maybe thought about the idea, ran it through my head, and either did it or didn't, but now I can't remember if I had or not. So it is a good idea if I haven't. So
okay, awesome. Good, good.
And then you're going to differentiate between those instrumentals that begin tracks that I find fucking annoying, that they're a separate track.
Oh, you mean like Intruder before Pretty Woman on Diver Down, like with
Intro to Shame on Detonator.
The Hellion, the Ides of March. They're all over the place.
Shit like that. Didn't Motley Crue have something on Dr. Feelgood? Was it?
They did on Shout at the Devil.
Shout at the Devil.
God bless the children of the beast.
God bless the children of the beast.
But that's its own separate track. And actually, I like that track, the little acoustic melody. I actually like that one.
Yeah.
No, it was Terror in Tinseltown.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
Stop it. Just stupid shit like that. Like, who wants that as a separate track on an album? Seriously.
I know.
All right, enough of that bitching. Let's go to why I picked this album, Tom, and that's this next track. All you.
Can't Happen Here. So we've talked about Ritchie Blackmore's desire to be accessible. To me, right here, this is where it all comes together, because this is, in my opinion here, this is when it's done spectacularly and flawlessly. Now, that being said, he's incorporating every popular sound at that time. Okay. He's got the upbeat tempo, the piano. I mean, I hear bits of Bob Seger in this. I hear bits of Foreigner in this. I hear bits of Styx and all those bands that were huge in 80 and 81. They're all here. But that being said, they do it amazingly well here. I love the intro, and I love when vocalists do little things like, yeah, come on. Like, I just think it adds a little bit of, so like before JLT starts singing, you can feel kind of like, and when we talk about the video, it just, I kind of like that little burst of energy that the vocalist gives to the song. Kind of helps. It kind of gives you a little bit more energy as a listener.
That's because his shirt is wide open.
Hold on. We're going to get Martin. Now, again, I said it during I Surrender. This is also a very sing-songy chorus. Like, it's ridiculously sing-songy. But it's a great song. It's a popular song for a reason. But one thing, as I'm listening to this album, in this particular song, or even a song like Magic, which we've already covered, I'm so shocked that Kiss didn't go down this road in 1981 and instead did the Elder. Like, this type of stuff is right in Paul's wheelhouse. It's melody, it's hooks, it's chorus, it's accessibility. I'm shocked that they didn't do this, because I think Kiss they would have blown it out of the water if they went this route instead of.
But they caught the second wave. I mean, they basically just went hook, line, and sinker into hair metal, which is an approximation of this. It's like the evolution of this kind of thing.
Yeah,
here. I'll make another kind of weird point about this album.
Go ahead.
We also did a panel book on Blue Oyster Cult, and their Revolution by Night album in 1983 feels more like a 1982 or 1981 album. So what you're hearing with this Rainbow album is that proto hair metal thing, right? You're hearing the birth of it. You're hearing Sammy Hagar. You're hearing Night Ranger. You're hearing Loverboy.
Yep.
It's that connective tissue between the 70s melodic corporate rock and the pomp rock into this pre-hair metal thing, the stuff that Kerrang liked, and they called Wimpham all the time, right? Because they loved the American mellow bands, right?
Yeah.
The mellow, hard, rocky, quotey bands. So yeah, this is all building up to that. But you're right. Kiss did a number. Well, I mean, they also went really heavy with Creatures of the Night.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And then they did the Elder, which is a side thing. And then Lick It Up. It's like they are right on the ground floor of hair metal with Lick It Up.
Yep.
And they're helping invent it, basically. And then they go along with it. I mean, they're running that place kind of thing, except sales wise, I suppose. But they are really in there. So yeah, you're right. It's that. But want me to say a little more about it or
Please.
finish up?
Please.
Okay,
do you like it? Is it something that
yes, this is my favorite song on the album.
Okay.
It is definitely rock and rollsy. I love your point, Tom, about Joe pushing it along with showing excitement about it. It's got a great pre-chorus as well. So a lot of great songs. This is a point that got made when we did the Judas Priest panel book. I think it was either Sean Kelly or Andy Blacksugar pointed out that Priest has the greatest pre-choruses of any band. And then when you get to the chorus, they just numbskullingly repeat the title of the song. So they put all their effort into the pre-chorus.
Yep.
Think of Breaking the Law. Breaking the Law. You don't have a clue. That big lead up, and then it's Breaking the Law, like you say, Zeus, right? So this has a great pre-chorus. And then it gets into the chorus. It is sing-songy, but that's not the term that comes to mind because it doesn't annoy me. But yeah, this is very rock and rollsy. The other thing Rainbow is good at is the octave jumping thing. So they do that a little bit in here, doom, 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 in the verse, right? So, and they do a lot of octave jumping on Bent Out of Shape, and they even do it on Stranger in Us All. So Ritchie likes that whole thing about, moving back and forth between the octaves. So yeah, I think it's a good song. And the video, of course, is really political and cool. And that's good to see too.
So Can't Happen Here, Ritchie Blackmore, Roger Glover. It's the second single released and went to number 20 in the UK. This reminds me of like the quick lyrics of REM's like It's the End of the World. Contaminated fish and micro, like,
yeah.
When we had JLT on, I was telling him exactly how much this song means to him. And I was like rapping this thing right back to him. I love this song. I can't get enough of it. When this video came on, you got the cartoons and the cars moving and all these historical things.
It's a cool video.
On. The lyrics are so well done that I'm only like, why didn't they come up with other great lyrics like this? Not that their lyrics are bad, but this is still relevant today. I could go on and on about different lines in these verses. Oily propagandas from leaders' lips, crossing all the borders just to take their share. People out of work, but there's people on the moon. Like all this stuff is so like pinpoint, like accurate about problems in the world. Cars by the million on a one-way ride.
That's a great line, isn't it?
That's a great line.
Yeah.
Satellite spying for the CIA. I mean, holy shit! All this
concrete
stuff.
racetracks nationwide. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Take what you want, but you can't take mine.
I'm just a big fan of the opening lyric. I mean, when you start a song with contaminated fish
and microchips, huge super tankers on Arabian trips.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh my god!
Because you get fish and chips there, right? You see what they're doing there.
There you go, fish and chips. That's right.
It's definitely one of those early MTV videos. The lyrics, the guitar, the vocals, the drums, the even when you watch the video, the backing tracks can't happen.
It's
can't
awesome.
Happen.
It's awesome.
Just all that stuff. And you're so right about these little things that JLT does throughout this song.
Yeah.
There's parts where he just moves his voice and and just
I love that.
The end word of some of these verses.
Yep.
And he does it just unbelievable. And because I know this song, this may be one of my most played songs I've ever played in my whole life.
Yeah.
So I know every little accent. I know every little thing. And to me, it's a perfect rock song. Every part, all the instruments are perfect. The vocals are off the charts. The lyrics mean something. It's important. It's catchy as all hell. And it's actually pretty rocking.
Yeah.
So all these times I'm like, when we pick albums for album review crew, I'm always debating what's my favorite real album. Like I can listen all the way through, or wait a minute. I've got a couple albums that are really top heavy, but those songs, like I want to discuss them. I got to bring this out. This song is why we're basically doing this album. And, maybe the other, Rising is a better full album or anything like that, but I wanted to get this thing out because this song means that much to me. And again, as
funny you say that. And Pete Pardo and I did because I've always had this concept of peaks and valleys albums, right?
Yeah.
And Pete, I did
totally.
an episode on that, right? So there are albums that you like equally, but one of them is like 8s all the way through, and the other one is 3 10s and a bunch of 4s.
Yes.
Yeah. Destroyer versus Rock and Roll Over. Rock and Roll Over is the more consistent album all the way through, except for, to me, See You in Your Dreams. But Destroyer, I don't know what you can beat with those top 3 songs in a row. Right. Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, and God of Thunder. Right. And then you still have the other tracks on there.
Yeah, and then you have to listen to Beth and Great Expectations.
Yeah, but even Beth at one point was liked.
Not by me. Not by me.
I still like the melody and Peter's singing, but regardless,
I know.
At one point it was still popular to you, to most people. But anyways, getting back to this is why I did it. And now let's get to my other favorite part, and that is this video. As I said, it's a band performance. They've got clips of historical things and what's being talked about in the song, and they'll show clips of things, people on the moon, car traffic, and all that stuff. But JLT has the tightest white pants that'll make John Bon Jovi blush from the She Don't Know Me video. Holy tightness. And he's got his shirt tucked in like he's in an extra in Scarface, with only the bottom button buttoned, and his whole hairy chest, not Paul Stanley hairy, but chest is just wide open. It's just, what the fuck is this?
I don't know. Again, just the moody, the moody, cranky face of Ritchie Blackmore is just what entertains me in these videos.
Oh, when he's whistling and he's got the strapped-on hat. He's like doing something completely off of what the music is playing.
Yeah.
But they put a lot of work into the newsy clips in it, right?
They did a good job with that.
Lots and lots of variety.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then you got the scally cap. What's his face?
Roger Glover.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Don Airey's wearing the same
jacket.
1980s Soviet Olympic jacket he's got on. I don't know what that is. But, and then Bobby Rondinelli's banging away at the drums. Those are fun times. And just remembered just being a kid and seeing these rock videos.
I used to love those videos. That's all there was back then.
Early MTV.
Yeah.
People that music today have no concept of what it was like to go home and turn on MTV and see music videos and discover music like that.
And
it's
see live performance videos, not these artsy videos like the Peter Gabriel and Dire Straits were doing. God bless them. But I wanted to see those Rush videos, those Van Halen videos.
Seeing the Def Leppard High and Dry videos, performance videos, and all the Journey ones.
Yep.
And things in discovering music. That's a lost art. But that's where I discovered Rainbow. And then when Stone Cold, that was all over MTV.
That's where I discovered Rainbow.
Yeah.
8 years old.
Interesting. So MTV starts in the summer of 81, and this album is February 81.
That's right.
I Surrender as a single is January 81, but Can't Happen Here's into June 81. So it's almost like they might have made these videos even before there was an MTV, or they might have put it together just with the excitement of MTV coming on, right?
Yeah, people were doing performance type videos before
promotional videos,
and that whole. Michael Nesmith from the Monkees started coming up with the concept of let's get video movie on TV and put it on a channel and start doing it. And all of a sudden MTV comes around and changes music forever. So, anyways, next track, Tom, all you, buddy.
Freedom Fighter. I'm going to take a guess, Zeus, that this is not why you wanted to review Difficult to Cure. I mean, I'm not going to get into a big thing here about lyrics, but I'm going to have to with this song. I mean, what are we doing with this song here? I mean, the pace is not bad, like the actual construction and tempo of the song, but the lyrics and the chorus is kind of weak. There's that breakdown. Like this to me, this one loses me here on the album. You know, this is track 7 of 9, and this one kind of lost me a little bit here. I think the lyrics were so goofy to for lack of a better term, and the song itself didn't really propel it. This didn't really do too much for me. Martin, what do you think?
Yeah. So interesting thing about this one is, when you get to the verse, it's almost like Broadway Joe, not Broadway Joe Namath, but Joe on Broadway, right? Cause the vocal melody is a real sort of Broadway show tune thing. Da, 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 that whole thing, right?
Yep.
So, and the lyrics, I'm just reading them as you're saying this. And
am I, Martin. I'm doing
they are kind of dumb, right? Cause it's not about an actual freedom fighter. It's not even a political song. It's about how he's saying, I'm independent and, so I'm a freedom fighter. I'm fighting for my freedom. But, the other part of it, the part when he's not singing the verse is actually a pretty wicked, heavy Rainbow riff, right?
It is. Yeah, that is true.
Yep. But it's very pomp rock when you get to the verse again. It's very.
I like that term.
Yeah. But it is also, very Broadway and show tuney kind of thing. And there's these tinkly keyboards in it as well. But the chorus, that riff is used for the chorus, and it's a really heavy chorus, right?
It is heavy. Yeah.
So it's like the opposite of Rainbow All Night Long in a way. It's the same as All Night Long. Sorry. Because All Night Long also has a poppy verse and a heavy chorus.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
I love you all night long. Yeah, I got you. Freedom Fighter, written by Ritchie Blackmore, Roger Glover, and JLT comes in with the writing credit because he's a freedom fighter. These are the type of lyrics that I referred to on Kiss songs. They're called the Waterboy lyrics. You can do it, Waterboy. Like, it's just just sophomoric attempt to try to be like, oh, let's rally. Come on.
Sister, I'm me.
Yeah. Just okay. Settle down, freedom fighter. But to me, I like the verses. When I just look at the lyrics, I can hear the melody in my hand. You can't control me. Tell me what to do. Chain in the other so I can be like you. I like it because I like JLT, the way he phrases it. I think the lyrics are I don't know. I'm not paying attention to freedom fighter, but to me, I feel like every song that JLT does, at least with Rainbow, it makes it better in some sense, but if you're not a big fan of it, he makes everything so much more popish.
Oh yeah,
and
of course.
And his melody and his voice and stuff. So if that's not your style and you don't like that part of Rainbow and you're more into, Long Live Rock and Roll and Man on Silver Mountain, this ain't going to be for you.
Yep.
So, but for me, I can't get enough of his voice. There's a lot of doubling of the vocals on this song too. But I don't know. The guitar solo on this is the one miss, I think, of Ritchie as guitar wise. It doesn't fit the song. It has nothing to do with it. And usually his solos are just so smooth and beautiful and almost like a symphony and a melody. This one is just kind of like the tone is off and the melody is different.
It's very like classical music sounding. It doesn't fit the song.
This one, it has nothing to do with what I've been hearing throughout the whole song. And usually Ritchie takes the melody and works his guitar around it and gives you something. Nah, this one is just off. I don't know. I don't mind the song again because I like all these musicians. And to me, I have a hard time not liking anything JLT sings. And his voice is just one of those voices that works for me. So, all right, Tom, let's go to Middletown. Yeah, Middletown. Here you go.
So next proper track on the album is Midtown Tunnel Vision, or as I like to call it, Lynn Turner's version of Stargazer. Because as I'm listening to this song, as soon as this song kicked in again, I'm like, this is Stargazer, but it's just not as heavy. It's almost the exact same song, the exact same tempo, the exact same riff, the same groove. Now that being said, that's a good thing because Stargazer's fantastic. I think this is Lynn Turner's version of it. I think he does. I think the chorus is cool, and I think Joe's voice here is probably the grittiest that it's been on the entire album. So again, super deep cut. Not really familiar with this song. If I heard it was probably 30 years ago. But yeah, I think it's a nice heavy song that we haven't heard a lot of on this album.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, it's got that vibe, but I always think Jimi Hendrix because it starts off with that Jimi Hendrix sort of riff thing, and even the title of it. Yes. And also it always reminded me, it goes to more of a bluesier space, like a little bit like Love's No Friend on the last album.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes.
Stomping
good point.
And slow kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, doomy, but kind of dull too. I'm not crazy about songs at this sort of tempo. I like the more up tempo ones.
Fair.
But again, not too fast because like I say, Spotlight Kid, you get up there and it's like you're sucking on the helium, bottle kind of thing, right? Yep. That doesn't suit them either. But, I just find it a little bit too earthy, too blues based.
Okay. Fair.
All right. So Midtown Tunnel Vision, same three that wrote Freedom Fighter, Ritchie, Roger, and JLT. Tom had the exact same thing. Sounds like a slower Stargazer, but just not as heavy.
Yep.
Ritchie has a great solo on this. JLT kills it as usual. The band's rocking on this. Just, it's all right.
Yeah.
Just, if I'm going to think of Stargazer, I want to hear Stargazer. I don't want to hear this.
Yep.
All right. Final track, Tom. All you, buddy.
Difficult to Cure or Beethoven's Ninth. First of all, 9 songs is not enough for an album. And when 2 of them are instrumentals and one of them is this ridiculousness, this is at least the other one, the German one, I'll call it the German one. At least that's got some kind of what is this? This should be in like a commercial or like at the halftime show of a college football game. I don't know. Ritchie, I know it's your band. You can do whatever you want. But as a fan of Rainbow, as a fan of JLT, as a fan of this album, this is just useless to me and a waste of time.
Yeah, and it's very classical for an album that isn't sending off those sorts of vibes, right?
Exactly. It doesn't fit.
Yeah. A buddy of mine, Stephen Reed, when we did the Rainbow panel book, he said that around this time there's a band in England called Sky that was having some massive hits playing rocked up classical tunes, and he thinks it might have been a little bit of an influence of that. But, you know, he's been doing this already with Still I'm Sad. He's going to really do this again up into Stranger in Us All when they do Hall of the Mountain King.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really the same kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, it's very, I remember when we did the Metal Evolution episode on power metal, and there was this whole thing about Schlager music in German.
Schlager music? Schlager.
Yeah, it refers to this really melodic sort of swinging your beer stein kind of music. That's what power metal is somewhat based on. The more happier, you know, I used to call it frilly sleeves power metal, you know, with the pirate shirts with the sleeves. And so this sounds like German Schlager music applied to hard rock, right? This is very, you know, cheery, up tempo, you know, up in the football stands kind of chanting, kind of music, right? Yeah. But, you know, it does have some utilitarianism, I suppose, in that it serves as a bed for a, you know, some guitar soloing at least, right? But other than that, yeah, it's fairly pointless. Well, it's very pointless.
It's very
like
pointless.
You say, two instrumentals, 2 covers already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Zeus. Difficult to Cure, Beethoven's Ninth, Ludwig van Beethoven, Ritchie, Roger, and Don Airey. So I'm going to have to disagree with you guys. I don't like instrumentals, but this at least to me is interesting. So when we went to Stonehill, what did you take? You could take like arts, or you could take theater, or you could take music history. You got to take one of those. I took music history, and it's one of those things that I kept that class from my one time I had to take it freshman year at Stonehill. It stayed with me. So it was all about classical Renaissance, all the way through learning about classical music. I still remember pieces. I was buying classical music. Like, I enjoyed it. Mozart and Beethoven.
So do I. I don't want to hear it here.
I do, because this is the beginning of what I think now is the biggest selling act in around the holidays, and that's Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That's the beginning of it right here. Yeah, this stuff.
That's
right.
A great point.
This is what people gravitate to. I love Beethoven's Ninth. I think it's a beautiful piece of music. The fact that he's doing this on his guitar is insane. And the fact that you got Don Airey doing this, extremely talented. I enjoy it. I love the melody of Beethoven's Ninth. So why wouldn't I like Ritchie doing it on his guitar? It, to me, is just interesting. I can listen to Ritchie play. And this is the way his style of music is, I believe. His classical trained guitar, his solos are all like this. And this is just a way to work. And if you listen to any of, like, even the John Lord, Whitesnake kind of organ solos and stuff like that you like, if you like that, I do. Yeah. I don't get annoyed with that stuff. So to me, I find this fascinating. It's interesting. Am I going to go blast this and say, turn off Panama from Van Halen? I want to hear Ritchie Blackmore play Beethoven's Ninth. No, but I don't turn this off.
Okay.
I don't even turn the other solo song off, because it's not bad listening to.
Right.
I'm not a fan of instrumentals. At least this is interesting. Is it one of my favorites? No, it's not one of my favorites. Okay. But, you know, it's just a incredibly talented guy doing something that I bet a lot of people can't do the way he did it. And I think it's a prelude to what now TSO does all the time. Yeah. So anyway, they end the album with the silly Laurel and Hardy laugh. I don't know if you got to that point.
I did get to that point.
Yeah. And so if you have the vinyl, it plays itself out. Mm-hmm. If you have the CD, it'll eventually fade out.
Yep.
what that is. I've seen people say that's Ritchie laughing at all the suckers that just bought this album.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. You just listened to me play Beethoven's Ninth, you bozo.
I don't know why it's there, but it's there. Just interesting piece of information. That's difficult to cure. That's basically the album. Do you want to give some final overall thoughts, Tom, and then Martin?
Yeah. Look, I'm not a diehard Rainbow fan, but I like Ritchie. I love Lynn Turner, and I don't think it's a tough album to talk about because, like we've said a million times, there's 9 songs, 2 of them are instrumentals.
Tom, let me stop you here right there.
Yeah.
That is the second, only one album, Bent Out of Shape, has more songs than this, which is 10.
Right.
All their albums are either 9, 8, or you got Rising with 6.
Yep.
They always do albums like this. I don't know why, but I
don't know why either.
Right. But go ahead. Sorry.
But I love JLT. This is not my favorite JLT album. That's okay. It doesn't matter. I like it. It's an okay album. I mean, I wasn't dreading my time listening to it. Some of the songs stood out more than others. So it's a good album. Martin.
Yeah, we got to give him credit. I mean, it's not a short album. I mean, it has 9 songs, but I think it's well over 40 minutes. It's 41 minutes. I think it was. What do we got here? 8, 13, 17, 20. Yeah, it's probably 42 minutes. So, all the songs, they have some parts to them kind of thing. But, one thing, I also, my antenna goes up sometimes. And then as soon as I think this, I can't unthink it. But have you ever had those albums where you think, these are albums where they're checking off boxes? Like we need one of these. We need one of these.
Totally. Oh yeah.
So I feel that way about this album and Straight Between the Eyes. But for some reason, when you get to Bent Out of Shape, I feel like it all comes together and they discover this sound. They know it's the Stone Cold sound and everything's, everything on there, Street of Dreams, Desperate Heart, everything has kind of a sparseness and a really sort of clean, regal, warm production to it. Something about that album hangs together, even though a lot of people pick that as their least favorite JLT. I think it's my favorite because it feels like a concept album to me. It feels like it has a unified personality. Both this one and Straight Between the Eyes feel like tick the boxes albums. Where we need all the little pieces that we had, even it almost, you don't get that with the first 2 and you start getting that a little bit with Long Live Rock and Roll. And then you do kind of feel that way about Down to Earth, even though it's my favorite, but these 2 really feel that way. And I think I almost feel like Straight Between the Eyes, even though I might like it a little more than Difficult to Cure. It even feels more tick the boxes than Difficult to Cure does.
What do you think of Fool for the Night?
So the faster, the ones where they're trying to be faster and heavier on Bent Out of Shape, I think they're least successful. To me, the most successful songs on Bent Out of Shape are Stranded, Can't Let You Go, Desperate Hearts, and Street of Dreams. Those to me really set up, the other neat thing about this album, Bent Out of Shape, is that you get this really interesting symmetry where the first 2 songs on both sides to me have a similarity. Then you get a fast one, Fool for the Night and Drinking with the Devil. And then if you had just flipped Fire Dancing Anybody There and then on side 2 Snowman and Make Your Move, you'd get an instrumental and a fast one.
I know.
So it's really, really stratified and unified that way. Balanced between the 2 sides, which is so they just screwed it up by one little thing. They should just sort of switched the last 2 songs around on one of the sides. But, and production wise, I feel like it is the one where, again, there's a personality to the production. This one's just kind of like a botched production, Difficult to Cure. I just find it kind of mid-rangey and weak in all departments.
Interesting. On Wikipedia, Martin, on the professional ratings part, they have your book, Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal.
I'm through that hundreds of times, I noticed. I don't know who did all that work, but it's pretty
Somebody
neat.
put it up there, and I'm like, that's Martin's book, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And I clicked on it. It goes right to your page. So that's
Sometimes I use Wikipedia for a little bit of research, and I'm reading along going, that's a great point. And then it gets to the end. Said Martin Popoff. It's like, oh, damn, I can't use that because I already did somewhere.
Oh, wow. So for me, I will just say again, we talked about it, why I picked this top-heavy album, but the two songs that I really like here are two of my favorite Rainbow tracks. I can say the same thing about Down to Earth, but because I really love Since You've Been Gone, but I really got into the album, and the next thing you know, I'm like, Lost in Hollywood is probably maybe to be the best song on that. And the last two songs on that album just really stand out, and Bonnet's vocals are off the charts. But that's the thing about Rainbow. I love putting this band on shuffle in the car.
Yeah.
And play. And next thing you know, I'm listening to Stranded, as you were mentioning. And another awesome track that I like, it actually was the reason why Rainbow started, was Black Sheep of the Family. Like something like that with Dio singing it that I absolutely love. And they've got so many great songs. Yeah, there's some duds in there, but I like all variations. Obviously the one common theme in this is Ritchie Blackmore, who is just, to me, so still underrated as a guitarist and a musician. And I find him fascinating. I know he's a curmudgeon, and I know the stories about him are just legendary. And, but I can't get enough listening to him. So anyways, that's the reason why I picked this album. I'm glad we got to review it. And now we do the fun part where we're going to rank all these 9 songs. Cool. So we'll start with Tom. We'll go to Martin. Then we'll go to me. Tom, what's your 9th song on this?
The 9th song is, sorry, it's Beethoven's Symphony Difficult to Cure instrumental thing. I got that last.
Martin?
You want to just go around like that? Okay, so I'll do that last too. Yeah.
That's your same. Okay, same thing. Okay.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you people?
Stop it.
Maybe next time is last for me.
The German one?
The German one, yes.
Okay, well, that's what I call it because I can't pronounce it, so that's my number 8. Because instrumentals are always going to go to the bottom for the most part.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's my number 8 too.
Yep.
Difficult to Cure is my number 8.
Okay. All right, now we can get into the exciting part of the songs.
Boy, that's a lot of arguing between making your 8 versus your 9.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Number 7 for me is Freedom Fighter.
Oh, I'll go Magic.
Okay.
Number 7 for me, we're going to be all different on this. Midtown Tunnel Vision.
Midtown. Okay. Number 6 for me, Spotlight Kid.
Whoa.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'll go Midtown Tunnel Vision next.
Okay.
6 is Freedom Fighter for me.
Okay. 5 for me is Midtown Tunnel Vision.
I think I'll go Freedom Fighter next.
Okay.
5, I got Magic by the Cars.
Okay. Number 4 for me is I Surrender.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
I'll go No Release next.
Oh, Martin, you're hurting me.
4, Spotlight Kid. And that's
okay.
solo.
Number 3, I know, it's the poppiest thing, but I can't deny the catchability of it, if that's even a word. I'm putting Magic at number 3.
Okay. I'll go I Surrender at number 3, if that's where we're at.
Okay.
Can't get no release.
All right.
Number 3.
Number 2 for me, this is going to make Zeus very happy, but at least it's not number 9. Can't Happen Here is number 2.
I'll go Spotlight Kid number 2.
Okay.
All right. Number 2 for me is I Surrender.
Okay. Number 1 easily is No Release. I think that song absolutely rips. Plus I haven't heard it a million times.
Okay. I'll go number 1, Can't Happen Here.
Boy, Martin.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs of all time, and what I think is one of the perfect rock and roll songs. Can't Happen Here. Musically, lyrically, vocally, you name it.
Yep.
Wow. So I think
if you gave me 100 lifetimes, it would never come up as one of my favorite songs of all time. But I do love it.
Okay, that's awesome.
Fair enough.
That's it, Martin. We can't thank you enough. If we get another Rainbow album, we'll probably have to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy. But
all right,
before we let you go, we do ask that you help us out with this. What makes you rock hard, Martin?
Well, let's see. I know you asked me this, and I was thinking, you said movie, podcast, TV show, or something. I'm going to go with podcast, although it's more of like a YouTube show.
Okay, that counts.
The Lore Lodge. I don't know if you heard of this guy, but he does a lot of cool conspiracy theory stuff, but a lot of missing 411, and he researches the hell out of it. His name's Aiden. It's just huge numbers. It's really popular.
What's it called?
It's a big deal. The Lore Lodge, Lore. And he puts in a bunch of history of and a lot of serial killer stuff, like what happened, true crime stuff, right?
Nice.
A lot of missing 411, Sasquatch. I'm a big Sasquatch guy. I watch a lot of Sasquatch stuff. I totally believe it. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay. All right.
Wonderful.
So for me, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm a huge horror movie fan. That's pretty much, if I'm not listening to a music podcast, I'm listening to horror movie podcasts, and I'm very, very, very particular about the ones I listen to. If the hosts sound like dopes or if they're too long, I can't get into them. So I stumbled upon one called That Was Pretty Scary. And there's two cool things about this one I like. First of all, the episodes are quick hits, 45 minutes maybe. That's another reason why I absolutely love your podcast, Martin. 30, 35 minutes, bing, bang, in and out. I love it. So this one, That Was Pretty Scary. They cover all eras of horror, from the classics to stuff that's brand new. But the cool thing about it, and I didn't realize this until I started listening to it, is one of the co-hosts is Freddie Prinze Jr., of all people. From, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Buffy's husband?
Yes, exactly. So it's him. And then his co-host, I can't recall his name, I'm sorry, but his co-host is a guy that's into like film study, film analysis. So you have Freddie talking about it from like the fanboy perspective, and then his co-host talks about it from like kind of like the film analysis perspective. And it's just fun. And it's not long. You're in and out, and they just do great movies, and it's just a lot of fun. It's called That Was Pretty Scary. And I always look forward to the episodes.
Nice.
Cool.
Geez, you're saying that. I'm thinking, I'm so old, I can't even picture who Freddie Prinze Jr. is, but I can totally picture Freddie Prinze.
His father. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Chico
right.
and the
died
Man.
young. And
Chico and the Man. Yeah.
It was suicide, wasn't it? I believe he died.
I'm not sure, but
died young of something.
Yeah,
Maybe it was drugs or something. I can't remember, but I remember it was a tragic early death with him. Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to go, you guys have like two very think logical, intelligent ideas. I'm going to go with, when people brain fried of listening to your podcast. I saw this movie, and because I expected it to suck and I watched it, I saw the remake of Roadhouse.
Oh my God.
I actually enjoyed it.
I've heard that.
I can't believe I enjoyed it. Now, I like the old classic movie with Patrick Swayze, who's about 5'6", and he's kicking everybody's ass, which is the stupidest story. But Jake Gyllenhaal is in this, and because he's
Conor McGregor.
Yeah, and because he's a what do you call it? MMA fighter. He's got a different background story. It was just fun. It was just mindless, stupid shit. And I actually enjoyed it. I couldn't believe I'm not a big fan of that actor, but he pulls it off, and it's a fun movie. Takes you away from everything for about an hour and a half. Simple, pretty good. Not trying to be an exact remake, but similar kind of background story. And it was fun. Yeah. Conor McGregor, if anything, makes that movie even worse. It's just stupid. It's just,
yeah.
But it's interesting, mindless fun if you want to kill some time over the weekend. So
there you go.
Anyways, again, Martin, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate it, buddy. And
Martin,
tell everybody,
tell everybody where they can find you, where they can listen to your podcast, get your books, etc. Plug away, buddy.
Yeah, so History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff is my podcast. I'm up to 256 episodes. Never missed a week. It's a half hour, as you say, Tom. All my books are at martinpopoff.com. There's about 80 or 90 that are in print, and the recent ones are the Kiss at 50, what else? Van Halen at
50. Yep.
Yeah, the Robert Plant panel book, the Thin Lizzy panel book. We got a Rainbow. We got a Genesis 2-part one coming.
Your Zeppelin book is incredible.
Yeah, there's the Zeppelin, all the albums, all the songs. There's the new Zeppelin, which is visual biography. And we got a YouTube channel called The Contrarians. I'm on Pete's show all the time.
Love it.
Oh, yeah, and we started another podcast on Pantheon.
That's
myself and John Gaffney, called Kicked in the Teeth, an AC/DC podcast.
That is awesome. I've been listening to that, Martin. When I found that, I was
like, didn't even know that.
Yeah, you're only
Thanks, Pantheon, for telling me.
You're only about 3 or 4 episodes in, right?
Yeah, 4. And it's
4,
John.
yeah.
It was John's idea. John's had a great YouTube channel for years called Lair the Alchemist. He's got he also took his Black Sabbath podcast over onto Pantheon as well. That he's been doing a little bit longer, but
nice.
And we're keeping it very only doing it like every 3 weeks kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're keeping it pretty low key. So
awesome. Cool. Martin, again, thank you so much, man. This has been so much fun. We wouldn't want anybody else to join us for a Rainbow album. So thank you, buddy.
Right.
Much appreciated.
Thanks very much, guys. That was fun.
Thank you. Tom, that was the great Martin Popoff. And we're not done. We still need to review the album cover and the ranking with the other 51 albums we've done.
Yeah, that's right. Jesus.
All right. So let's start with album cover rankings. We always read our top 5. Do you want to go?
Yep. All right. As of right now, my top 5 album covers are at number 5, Rage Against the Machine, Blizzard of Oz, Purple Rain, Master of Puppets, Diary of a Madman. And this cover's all right. I mean, I talked about how it's kind of horror movie Twilight Zone-ish. Like I said, anytime you see a man getting ready to put a rubber glove on, it's kind of not what you want. But I get it. I mean, difficult to cure. It's okay. I mean, we've had worse. We've definitely had worse. I think I'm going to put this at 28. I'm actually going to put it right below Hotel California and right above Slave to the Grind.
Okay.
I mean, it does fit the album. It's difficult to cure, and you got these, crazy nurses and doctors there, whatever. But yeah, 28 for me.
Okay. Tom, my top 5 are Peace of Mind, Diary of a Madman, Appetite for Destruction, Blizzard of Oz, and Hotel California. I am going to put this at number 16.
Oh, okay.
Underneath Purple, above Who's Next. And the reason being is because every time I see it, I always feel like there's something going on. It's like, as Martin said, mystical or something, or JLT or something, the hypnosis or something. And I feel like there's more to it than just, there's some doctors. It looks menacing. It looks like there's some foreboding and something's coming up in that, like, oh shit. And I know exactly when I see it, what I'm thinking, whose album it is distinctive to them. And Hypnosis guys, whatever they're fucking Hypnosis, whatever the fuck they're called, they do come up with some great concepts sometimes. Yeah. So I'll give them that. So, okay. All right, Tom, let's move to the other part, and that is the actual album itself.
Okay. My top 5 albums. Number 5, Fair Warning, Shout at the Devil, Purple Rain, Moving Pictures, Master of Puppets. So this album suffers a couple things for me. First of all, it's only 9 tracks, and second of all, 2 of them are instrumentals, and one of them is absurd. We talked about how much I think it's just dumb.
We're really mature here. And, this is dumb.
This is dumb. Well, we talked about it already. I mean, there are some good songs on here. I mean, JLT again is fantastic, but I do have to penalize it a little bit for the 2 instrumentals and the short length. So, I mean, I like it. And now, I mean, there's so many albums, and it just continues to get difficult because I don't know about you, but when I rank these, it's like what kind of mood I'm in. I mean, sometimes I look at these rankings like, how the fuck is this at number 20? Whatever. But it's good. It's not great. I'm going to put it at 36. I'm going to put it right below Slide It In and right above Kick by In Excess.
I still can't believe you have Slide It In that low. But
that is probably the worst ranking I have in my entire ranking.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's the worst. It's got to be that in Jar of Flies is way too low as well.
You know what I always like, though? Like when one of us finds something that we would never have found. And, for you, that is no release. Like you never would have found that, right?
No.
And so you got brought something that, that would never come to you if it wasn't this album review show.
Right.
So,
right.
All right. Number 5 is Pyromania, 4 Blizzard of Oz, Hotel California 3, Automatic for the People 2, and Purple's 1. I am putting this album at, it's definitely below Down to Earth, I can tell you that. Okay. You know, a good place for this, I don't have any sentimentality. I don't know if that's even a word. I don't have it for Vision Quest.
Okay.
It's a great soundtrack, and I love all the songs, and it's more, and this is the problem I had. We were discussing this. It's way more consistent. But
yeah,
the songs that I fucking love on this album.
Right.
So I'm going to put this above Vision Quest, but below Kick, because Kick has some songs on there that New Sensation and Devil Inside that I are just as much as I love as any songs. And the rest of it is still consistent. Difficult to Cure is unsteady. It's just,
it is. So what's the number?
So I'm putting this at number 25, below
25.
Kick and above Vision Quest.
Wow. I cannot believe you have a JLT Rainbow album that low, but I get it. It's inconsistent. Yeah,
exactly. And, again, it's not better than Down to Earth for me. And, it's just, but because it's the way we decide to pick on albums. Right. I love a certain amount of songs on this, so I'll go to it, but not the whole album. I'll go to it for a few songs every time. But anyways, those are our rankings, and Tom can tell people where they can find us.
Yeah, so if this is your first time listening to us, we are usually an all-Kiss podcast, dropping Kiss-related episodes every Saturday. We do this album review crew once a month. You can find us at shoutitoutloudcast.com for all of our information. Send us an email at shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com or follow us on all the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube. We're all there and very active.
Yeah, and next month will be the Patreon pick, so brace yourself for that.
Yep.
But Tom, how we always end is a famous last words. You got any?
Oh, of course I do. You can't control me. Tell me what to do. Chained in mediocrity so I can be like you. Relax, JLT.
I don't even think I need to look at the lyrics. Contaminated fish and microchips. Huge super tankers on Arabian trips. Oily propaganda from the leader's lips. All about the future. Martin Popoff. JLT's tight white pants. Loudcasters, Kiss Army. Thank you.
Huge shout out to Martin. Tons of fun. We wouldn't want anybody else to join us. Great time. Everybody, thanks. Great stuff, Zeus. Fun pick, fun album. And Zeus, as always, my friend, thank you.
Peace out, Girl Scout.